The love between Mulan and Shang always seemed like a realistic story in the sense that Disney decided to not have it be love at first sight. Instead, the relationship between Shang and Mulan was something that developed and grew over the course of the original animated film as well as the sequel. And what made their relationship so realistic was the fact that it wasn't perfect. They had issues in their romance, much like most couples, a lot of which came from their history apart, as well as certain customs that would have affected Mulan's ties to Mushu. However, all of their troubles came to light after Shang appeared to die in Mulan 2, and because of that, the true strength of Shang's love for Fa Mulan was revealed. Now, though they ended up happily married, Shang and Mulan didn't always start out as a happy couple. As the first Mulan clearly showed, Li Shang was raised to be a soldier during a time period where duty and honor came above everything else, including love. By the time Shang met Mulan, she was already pretending to be someone she wasn't because the military only drafted the men in the family. However, that charade could only last for so long. In the first movie, Shang was shown getting along with Mulan's alter ego Ping, and he even seemed to feel a sense of brotherhood toward his fellow soldier, especially after Ping saved his life. Sadly, that was also when Mulan and Shang hit their first trial in their slowly forming relationship. As you know from the movie, it was after Mulan saved Shang's life as Ping that everyone in the army discovered that Mulan was actually a woman. Shang and the rest of the military abandoned her on the mountain, and in that scene you can really see the pain of betrayal on Shang's face. However, as you also know from the movie, the next time that Mulan would run into Shang was when she saved the emperor from the evil Shan Yu, and after she saved China, Mulan returned home only to have Shang appear, and from that point, the two officially started to hit it off. Now, simply because the first movie ended on a positive note for their relationship doesn't mean that it was destined for smooth sailing, as the sequel quickly showed how rocky things truly were for the couple. Mulan 2 opened up about a month after the events of the first movie, and after a promotion that Shang received between the movies, he decided to finally propose to Mulan. She accepted and was joined in her happiness by Mushu, who was equally overjoyed, though that wouldn't last for long for him because Mushu was about to learn of a Chinese tradition that would shake up his position as Mulan's guardian. You see, he learned in the movie that if Mulan married Shang, his ancestors would be charged with looking over her. And according to Mulan's other ancestors, if Shang's ancestors were going to be Mulan's guardians, then Mushu wouldn't really have a job anymore. And that was something that the Red Dragon did not want to hear because that meant Mushu would be demoted to Gong Ringer again. Little did anyone know that this would send Mushu on a path that would end up almost destroying Shang and Mulan's already bumpy relationship and nearly getting Shang killed in the process. Now, Mushu wasn't ready to lose his position as Mulan's guardian, so he decided to start causing problems that would deeply affect Shang's relationship with Mulan. You see, Mulan 2 introduced fans to the Emperor's three daughters, Princess May, Princess Ting Ting, and Princess Su. Following Shang's proposal to Mulan, the pair were tasked with protecting the three princesses as they traveled to Qigong for an arranged marriage that would strengthen China's alliance with the neighboring kingdom. And during that trip, Mushu found many opportunities for himself to cause any friction that he could between Shang and Mulan, who already tended to butt heads on occasion. Sadly, nothing Mushu could do would shake the relationship up like Shang's apparent death that almost changed everything for Mulan. And that's not for lack of trying either. Mushu tried to set up Shang's engagement to Mulan for failure, though most of his plans ended up backfiring. The only real success that Mushu had was when he caused the group's cart to be destroyed as they traveled to Qigong, which was when, in Mulan 2, the troupe began to travel on foot. That gave time for the three princesses to form bonds with the lovable trio from the first movie, Yo, Qian Po, and Ling, which led to the breaking point of Shang and Mulan's relationship. It was clear in Mulan 2 that Shang and his fiancée had love in two different spots on their priority lists, especially as the two argued over the princesses. It was during the scene where Mulan discovered the three princesses mingling after dark with Yo, Ling, and Qian Po. Around that same time, Shang discovered a letter that he believed was written by one of the princesses. The movie showed Shang yelling at his subordinates and telling them that their job was to protect the princesses, not fall in love with them. He then ordered them all to watch after each of the princesses, but to not interact with them whatsoever. This was an order that Mulan didn't agree with, which makes sense when you think about her entire character's storyline in the first movie. And because of their differing opinion, the two had what was probably their most intense argument by that point in their relationship. Honestly, it was probably one of the most surprising moments in Mulan 2 when Shang outright told Mulan that she was the problem and that she was putting her personal ideals above everything else. And while that was certainly not the right thing for Shang to say to his fiancée, and he was wrong on so many levels, it's easy to understand why he would think that the nation's ideals were more important than personal ideas. As Disney showed fans, Shang was young and had spent most of his life in the military and among soldiers, so he had it ingrained in his mind that honor and duty must be held above everything else. Their different differences further prove why Shang and Mulan weren't the perfect couple, and that's sort of what made them perfect. Their relationship had problems that they had to choose to work on or let destroy their love, and that's something that couples face in the real world all the time. Sadly for Shang and Mulan, it was at that point in the movie when their relationship had practically hit rock bottom, and the only way to go any lower was for Shang to literally fall. It was about halfway through the second movie when Shang and Mulan were attacked by a group of men who were trying to get to the three princesses, and the battle ended with Shang and Mulan dangling from a rope bridge that was cut by the enemy as they escaped. As the rope that they were holding onto began to give out, Shang realized that he only had one chance to save Mulan, so he looked at her, apologized for all of their arguments, and then with tears in his eyes, he let go. Shang seemed to plummet to his death, which left Mulan heartbroken as she hit her lowest point in the rocky but beautiful relationship. And while you might think that would be the end of the turmoil of their relationship, things only continued to be shaken up as Mulan let her honor take over instead of still holding to her heart. Mulan knew that the three princesses didn't want to go through with their arranged marriage, and as the movie showed, Mulan didn't believe that they should be forced to marry someone that they didn't love. And after she had just watched Shang, her beloved fiancé, seemingly fall to his death, she made a decision that was likely influenced by her emotional state. As mentioned before, Shang had a high sense of honor, which is something that Mulan knew and would like to hold on to after his death. So in order to uphold that sense of honor that her fiancé held so dear, while also helping out the three princesses, Mulan stepped up and offered herself as a bride to the prince in place of the three. And sadly, the offer was viable because everyone believed that her fiancé was dead, and therefore her proposal was accepted. In other words, what was almost the final nail in the coffin for Shang and Mulan's relationship was the fact that she was now betrothed to a prince, despite the fact that Shang wasn't actually dead after all. Like, for real, Mulan and Shang probably have one of the saddest but strangely beautiful relationships out of any other classic Disney characters, and that's in part because of its many flaws. One of the most shocking "oh yeah" moments in Mulan 2 was when they revealed that Shang had survived the fall into the canyon and was still alive. However, it wasn't as if he could just pick up where he and Mulan left off, as he learned that she was now betrothed to the Prince of Qikong. But at this point, he was tired of letting honor and duty rule his life and decided to follow his heart as he raced to Qikong to stop the marriage. The movie showed that this didn't really go as planned at first. Since Mulan had already agreed to marry the prince, she was sort of in a position where she had to go through with it. Thankfully, Mushu finally used his craftiness for a good cause, and with the help of Cricky the Cricket, he dressed up as the Golden Dragon of Unity and ordered Mulan's marriage to the prince be called off. And almost immediately afterwards, still in the form of the Golden Dragon, Mushu married Shang and Mulan, even though it meant that he might have to go back to ringing the gong again. That, of course, didn't end up happening since Shang found out about Mulan's guardian and decided to combine their families' temples. And as of the end of Mulan 2, it looked like Shang and Mulan had finally ironed out the bumps in their relationship, and their love was finally blossoming. What do you think about Shang and Mulan's relationship, though? Was it one that could have been portrayed better, or did its realistic difficulties make it all the more beautiful? Make sure you let us know in the comments below.